Hi everyone, welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
Nice to see you again, GR Dad.
Very good to see you again.
It was 9 days.
It seemed
I was gone
like
for 9 days.
a million days.
It did seem like a million days. I'm so glad to be back.
I got a beard and cut it off in that time.
I mean, you could have. I wouldn't have known.
I did. I had, yeah.
I'm glad you cut it off by the time I got home.
Yeah, I had a mullet and shaved that off.
Mullet. The cocktail of the week this week is the Diablo. El Diablo. It is Blenheim's ginger ale, which you can kind of only get in the South or on the internet, but it's real spicy ginger ale, ginger beer.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's ginger ale. Anyway, Blenheim's really good, and tequila, and then the recipe calls for creme de cassis, which is a black currant flavored liqueur, but we didn't have any, so I substituted. I think it's really just to make it red. So it's kind of like a mule, a tequila mule. Is there a word for a tequila mule?
I think I talked about this. I don't think there is. Tequila and ginger is not a mule in the mule family. Should be.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's called El Diablo. It's real tasty. Zippy, because the Blenheim's is real zippy.
I think the way you made it, it's like more of a minor demon than the devil himself.
That's fine. It's pretty good, though.
El Minor Diablo.
El Diablito. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Okay. Thanks for everybody's patience that we did not podcast last week. It's been an eventful couple weeks since we last did the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I just want to establish this is a rules podcast. I checked ahead of time.
You did. This is a rules podcast. It is a little bit early, but we didn't podcast last week, so it's fine.
Yeah, I just need to know because, my behavior is totally different now. I am on point, precise, focused right now.
We actually had plans to do a No Rules podcast after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for weeks.
No, I mean, just after Thanksgiving. Like, I had pulled the super followers and the Patreon people, like, what do you want us to talk about in the No Rules? And then something happened. Some dog had something, and we ended up not doing it, and then I left, and then we didn't even do a regular one. So we've got a lot of material for a No Rules podcast in the near future if we want to.
Even just the dog updates might take 5 hours.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
That's in the rules part.
So I left the Sunday after Thanksgiving to go to Maryland. I saw my physical therapist, and I did some medical stuff, and I did some work stuff. And while I was gone, a whole bunch of crap happened. And every time I leave, I get nervous because it's really hard to be one person taking care of these 6 dogs. I think any 6 dogs, but especially these 6 dogs. And I'm like, the worst scenario, of course, is that Voodoo has uncontrollable seizures and has to go all the way up to Miami to the neurologist, and there's only one person. And literally on Sunday, I think I was in the plane and Voodoo had a seizure.
Yeah, but I think you talked about it beforehand. You're like, that's my real worry. And I'm like, he just had one. It's fine. It's not a problem. We just managed the whole thing. Look at him. He's like a happy little Voodoo because he took you to the airport with Guac.
Yep. And then you got home and he had a seizure.
Oh, it's terrible.
And then later in the afternoon, he had a seizure.
Yeah. And then at night, he had a seizure.
And so...
it's like a 10. He had his third, I think. Or maybe it was 10, he was at his second.
I think it was 7. Because then what happens then when he's starting to go into these clusters of seizures is we call our neurologist, who we have now in Miami, and they open the clinic. They actually had the clinic open, and they take him in. They hospitalize them. And so I think you were getting there at 11.
Yeah. So he had his first seizure. I sprayed the stuff in his nose. We increased the dosage of Keppra.
We got a whole protocol of stuff to do.
We did everything that's supposed to prevent another seizure, and it did not prevent another seizure. Not. So he had another seizure, and then you organized most of it. I got to give you a lot of the logistical credit. As usual, you a million miles away, we're just like calling and organizing, and then you're just like, you're going to have to bring him in.
Yeah, that's right. I was in Maryland at that point.
Yeah.
And called the neurologist in Miami, and I was like, here's what's gone down. And they're like, yeah, you got to bring him in. And I was like, okay, it'll be 3 hours. And clearly, it was Thanksgiving weekend, right? It was a Sunday after Thanksgiving. So they just have a call service, right? The hospital's not open 24 hours, but they will open if you have a case. And so, I clearly got somebody at her house, and they, transferred me to a nurse at her house. And they were all so great and so professional. And they're like, great, we'll meet you here. Just get, we need you here before 1 because that's when the doctor has to leave. And I was like, well, it'll be 11.
Yeah, that's right.
So you loaded up the Vood and went, and guac, right?
I guac for mental comfort for me, yeah.
I went up there. Guac did not stay.
Guac didn't do much, but it's always good to have a guac in the car, I think.
So tell us about the journey.
Yeah, I mean, it was at 7, he had his second, or it must have been, around 7, he had his second seizure. And I was probably just settling in. I had like a beer at 5 with dinner. And, I was not showered. I was not, as usual, this is a thing for me. I was not showered. And, but I just had to make sure everyone else had peed and stuff because I wasn't going to bring 6 dogs. Although I think I floated that idea and you
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Put him in the car and leave right now.
Quickly slapped it down. Right. Yeah. So Voods at this point was kind of out of it, but not actively seizing. But of course the problem is if he has one in the car, it'd be awful.
Yeah.
So I just, drove up to Miami, and I don't even think I stopped on that one. And then I grabbed all his medicines.
We have a clear storage bin.
It's got to be like 20 gallons or something. It's twice the size of a big bucket or a 5-gallon bucket at least.
It's giant. And we're like, here's everything.
Yeah, I grabbed all his medicines, they said bring a drinking bowl, and ended up they didn't need that. I mean, obviously vet practice has a drinking bowl, but who knows? And so I checked him in. They still have COVID protocol, so they just pick him up at the car.
Yeah.
And then I turned around and came here and made sure everyone else was still okay. They were all sleeping. I don't think they even noticed that I had been gone.
Yeah, I think you got there at 11, and then you were home here by 2.
Yeah.
2:30.
Yeah, it was really just an out and back. It wasn't much time in Miami.
6-hour out and back.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Oh my God.
Oh.
So I talked to them, and they, they're like, we're going to give him this drug IV, and then if he has another seizure, we'll give him this other drug IV. And they did that for 24 hours, and then they took him off it, and then he had
a seizure at 2 a.m. that night.
That's right. He had a seizure on the first medicine, so then they started him on the second one, and that's intravenous clozapate for those of you who care about these things, and I think something else is in there, and it's just like a constant drip of it, and they do that for 24 hours, and they weaned him off, and then I think he had 3 more seizures, so then they had to put him back on. So he ended up being there for almost a week, 5 days, right?
He was there Sunday night, and I picked him up
Thursday, yeah. That's
right.
Yeah. And so it was, there were a few rounds of this where they'd put him on the drip, and then they'd wean him off, and then he'd have a bunch more seizures, and then they'd put him on it again, and they wean him off, and he'd have a bunch more seizures because they want him to be 24 hours seizure free before they send him home. So,
which, if someone who has him in the car for 3 hours really appreciates, because that when I heard he had a seizure at 2, I was like, man, that was kind of close. If he'd had one, 4 hours earlier in the car, it would have been, me at the side of the road trying to take care of him, having a full-on seizure, and they're still super violent. He still screams. He still
it's terrible.
Tenses all up completely. Oh, he kind of bit the door here on one of his seizures. I don't think I've showed you that.
Oh, you didn't?
There's tooth marks in our pocket door because he was chomping at the first seizure. It's recessed right now.
Yeah. He had that seizure at 2 after being on IV medication for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's bad. Yeah.
So he, if you had not brought him in, he eventually will get into this point where he just has one seizure right after another. There's kind of no break. He, before he even is really fully breathing, he starts having another one. And that's how you get a dog dying from seizures, and that would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, now he's got a whole bunch of medications increased,
and every time I called to check, they were like, oh, we're taking good care of, they called him your baby. Your baby, we love him, we're taking good care of him, he's getting a lot of attention. He's at some point during the week they said, we have more techs than patients right now, so he's getting just super much attention. Everyone loves him. He's very cute. I was like, man, cute is interesting with Voods. An interesting word for Voods.
So he's been fine since he came home, and I was worried that he'd be really kind of zombie-like because they increased. There was one medicine we were trying to cut down, which we think is why he started having the seizures. And so they put him back on his previous dose, but they increased his phenobarbital, they increased his Keppra, and I was like, man, he's going to just be a zombie. He's not going to be able to walk, but actually he's doing fine.
He's about the same as he was when we were worried about him being too good.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Like when you sent me videos of him, I was like, oh, he's perky and
yeah. I mean, he's chasing around. He was playing with Remy the other day. He's
yeah.
Doing good work. He's swimming around. He's not. I mean, he's still slower than a normal dog. He still seems like he's 100 years old, even though he's 4.
Now, I do want to talk about a couple other things with Voods.
Sure.
So when you picked him up, they had a chicken Band-Aid on him.
Yes.
And someone had pointed out, and I didn't know this, so this is just from someone on Twitter, that they have, normally like when they take out an IV, they'll put the vet wrap, that kind of, the stuff that they wrap around their legs, which you'll see when if you have a dog that you pick up, or you've seen it on our dogs. But there's no chew vet wrap, which tends to be printed. And so the hypothesis that this person put forth is that chicken printed vet wrap was because maybe he had chewed some of his other vet wrap.
Ah, interesting. Interesting.
And so I do have on my list here, so when you got Voodoo home from the vet, he was very thirsty. Yeah,
and he went swimming.
And then he tried to drink the entire ocean.
He went swimming and drank the entire ocean. And I got him home during the day. So this was, I think this is actually on video, although I may not have put it on the snaps, because he's out there just slurping. He's in, the tide is just right, so he stands there and slurps.
Drinking the seawater.
I actually ran in. My shoes are wet from this still, because I just ran in and I was like, I just heaved him out as soon as I realized what he was doing.
Because what happens when you drink seawater?
It's an emetic.
It must come out, and it will come out one or both ends violently.
Yep.
Fortunately, just one end for him.
I think it's fast.
They pretty quickly will start puking that.
But it was a lot of seawater, and of course he came upstairs and started drinking regular water because he was thirsty from the seawater, and anyway he's still thirsty.
Yeah.
So he just had he's all gluggy.
It's a real problem. Guac does this sometimes. He's gotten a little better, but will still do it sometimes if he plays a lot of fetch, where he swallows a lot of seawater, and then he feels nauseous and he's thirsty, so then he drinks more regular water, and then he'll puke a bunch, but he doesn't get it all out, and then he'll drink more regular water, and then there's just like this cycle of several hours of puking of water.
It was a mess with Voods because it was a lot of undigested food, which must have been from breakfast, because it was before I'd given him any here, but there was a lot of kibbles, squishy kibbles, which is kind of like breakfast cereal after you've let it sit for 3 hours.
And also a Band-Aid.
And a Band-Aid, a chicken Band-Aid. So it may have been the previous generation of it, but he puked that out too. So
can you picture him at the vet, like for 5 days, just chewing off all those bandages and
eating them? They didn't mention any of this. They were just like, oh yeah, this bandage here. Instead of we've lost about 7 Band-Aids this week.
Now, I want to just touch on this briefly. So you brought him up on Sunday to the vet. You brought him home on Thursday.
Yeah.
We veer away from the scatological on this podcast, but I would like to know what you found Friday in his poop.
Friday, yeah. When I'm, it's always a poop pickup process. One of my athletic socks that had been, I was wondering if it had been missing because I found the other one on Sunday, and didn't find 2 of them. And so I'm like, Vink, did it fall behind something? I don't know, but it was the Vood, so he must have picked it off the table.
Like Saturday or Sunday.
It was in, complete condition. He hadn't like chewed little bits of it or anything. He just horked the whole thing, and it's a, it wasn't. It was a 3/4 sock, I think. It wasn't full sock, but it was.
Stop doing that, Vood.
Long. I mean, it's probably 10 inches long.
Okay, that's enough detail.
I'm just saying, it was not. It was like a snake in him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just lucky it passed.
My God, that dog keeps eating stuff that should end him up with foreign object surgery.
Someone did have a question about, what about those rocks in him?
Dr. Faith said they'd come out. So you're the one who tends to do the poop pickup. Thank you for that, by the way.
Sure, but I think it's an X-ray issue because who knows what he did at the vet clinic? Maybe they came out there.
They could have. Anyway, so that's the adventures of Vood. The good news is that the emergency vet here in the Keys is opening again in January. So we will never have to drive him up to Miami again after January because our neurologist will consult with an emergency vet. So we don't have to bring him to their clinic. They'll just tell our vet here, put him on this and put him on this. And so it's, you get their care, but at your local emergency vet. So as long as he can make it to early January, he won't have to go back up for another week.
Poodles. He had such a good run, and now he's had these bursts. So who knows? He's still a pinto bean.
He sure is. So that's the big drama from the last couple of weeks, and that was really part of the reason we didn't have the energy.
That was overarching drama because it was sort of day by day. They didn't say we're going to keep him till Thursday. They said maybe tomorrow, maybe whenever's 24 hours from his last seizure, and then he had another seizure. So it was always I was kind of on deck, but never called upon until Thursday, and even then I didn't know until that Thursday in the morning. Whenever I called him 8 a.m. that he had been seizure free over the night, right? Because I was half prepared for calling them, and they said, they might have said, another 24 hours.
Yeah, for sure. So that was very dramatic.
Yeah, it was worrisome, but of course it was comforting that he was at the hospital and not
so
here.
Good.
The here waiting for the next seizure is really bad, really torture. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like sad to not have him here, but when he's having seizures like that, really the only place I want him is like hooked up to an IV with a bunch of medical professionals monitoring him 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's much better. Like, yeah, we want him here, but like take care of him, right?
Right. And for them, it's a little bit more routine. It's a little less emotional. For me, it's pinto bean. I mean, I feel it's like a 10 times worse. I'm not clinical about it when he has a seizure. I just feel terrible for the guy, even though rationally I understand he's not processing it. He's not going to be traumatized by it because it's probably outside he doesn't remember them in detail.
Very traumatic for me. I'm glad I wasn't here.
Me too. Yeah. It's interesting. It may show my natural sort of lack of imagination, but with Voods and Remy, I've really gained an appreciation for epilepsy and diabetes that I didn't have before. I had an intellectual understanding of this, but people who have epilepsy, it's just it's so hard and frustrating that there's no good trigger. You don't know when it's going to happen or why it happens. There's nothing to avoid. And, same with diabetes. You live with this condition that is complicated. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
Good job.
So let's see. That's the main thing. And so not that I had time to podcast last week either, but at some point I think we had talked about it, and like poor G, our dad was exhausted from 2 of those 6-hour round trips up to Miami and dealing with everything. Do you think CB needs something?
Second or third dinner.
He already had second dinner with extra green beans.
He needs a stern talking to. That doesn't work either. We've given you lots of love. That doesn't really work. We've given you food, which works for 5 seconds.
So someone had said apparently that we never really discussed CB's surgery. So CB had an aural hematoma. And so it's basically where their ear flap gets a kind of like a blister on it. But basically the skin separates from the cartilage and it fills up with, it can be blood. It can be just kind of like the fluid that you get in a blister. But it just keeps filling up then.
You can't squeeze it out.
No.
You can't flatten it yourself.
No, even if the vet were to lance it, it just fills back up. And so the solution for that is that you do surgery where they drain it, in a bunch of ways. They kind of cut it open, they drain it all, and then they sew a bunch of, they kind of quilt the ear back together. So they sew a bunch of spots where they put sew the skin down through the cartilage and back through the other side. You want to deal with him? We'll come back in a second. And we're back. Birdie had to pee. So yeah, anyway, they kind of stitched through the ear to kind of make a bunch of places that the ear skin is held down to the cartilage.
It's kind of old school, like brute force.
It really is. And there's some places that will use buttons. So they'll actually take plastic buttons like you'd put on a coat or whatever, and they'll sew them on so there's a button on either side, so it's kind of putting pressure down in a bigger area. And so you'll see these dogs and their whole ear flap is just covered in buttons that are sewn onto it.
I wouldn't have believed it, but you showed me like the Google search.
There's a ton of pictures.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you can do a Google image search
and the dogs look fine, but they have buttons on their ears.
Yeah.
Lots.
So part of the reason he's wearing the hat, which we'll talk about in a second,
yes,
is that they tend to, floppy-eared dogs will get this condition. One of my previous dogs before the squad had this. She had to have both ears done. But they get it from flapping their head around, like especially if they get an ear infection where they shake their head a lot. But it just kind of happens, like there's nothing you can do about it. And so while he's healing, he's not supposed to shake his head or shake his ears.
Right.
And so the panda hat was to prevent that. When I got home yesterday, I was like, the panda hat has a big hole in it. When did that happen? I don't remember seeing that on the snaps. And he was like, yeah, it didn't have a hole until Voodoo ate it.
I've caught Voodoo, just a couple days ago with the panda hat in his mouth, and he chomped a hole in it.
And I was like, well, fortunately, in the pile of packages that have accumulated while I was gone, there is another hat that I ordered before I left that's the same as the panda hat, except it has bunny ears on it. So
it actually looks nice too.
It's real cute. So he's still got a hat.
I don't know why these hats trigger me so, but I think they're so cute and make Brody look so cute.
It really does. Just like Ingo's like, oh my God, look at your little face. So anyway, he's doing pretty good. I guess you're taking him up. Is this Saturday maybe when he's going to get the remaining stitches out?
Yeah, they're dissolving stitches, so they've been sort of wearing away. But yeah, whatever's left, I think, should be taken out. And this doctor, whom we like a lot, like all our vets, admits she's very conservative with those stitches, right? Other doctors take them out after a week, and she said, look, there's the more I can do to increase the likelihood that they won't just shake their ears back to where they were,
right?
The better, right? She said it was like cauliflower ear in like rugby players or boxers.
Sure.
Humans get it too. Yeah.
So anyway, he's doing pretty good. It has not filled back up. He's much more comfortable than he was.
Yeah.
And they gave us, and I think when we last podcasted and he was pushing his head wrappings down and his whole ear had kind of become a hot spot, one of the things I treated it with was this powder that they had given us for Vink at some point, because she gets hot spots all the time. And so it's like a plastic bottle of powder, and on the top of it, it's got a lid with like a little hole in it, and you kind of tip the bottle upside down and squeeze it, and it shoots powder out of the little hole. And so you can kind of like spray this powder just by squeezing the plastic bottle.
It's like a teeny tiny baby powder.
It is kind of like
bottle,
a baby powder.
But much, very like an eyedropper size of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and much more precise.
Yeah.
There's just one hole instead of a bunch.
That's right.
But that has worked remarkably well.
Yeah, drying out the inflammation has really been good.
Yeah, and it has, it's not just powder. Like it is a powder, but it has an anti-inflammatory in it and maybe an antibiotic. And so there's like medicine in it, but it does a really remarkable job.
Yeah, because he loves to, he can rub off that panda hat, right? When he does his, I'm rolling around in the grass now, the panda hat eventually will move away from his ear, and then he's just rubbing his ear into the grass, which is suboptimal.
Yep.
Yeah. But then the powder has really calmed everything down. It's good.
Yeah. So he's doing better.
Yeah.
So that's the Brody update. I have 2 notes on Vink. One is that apparently like 3 weeks ago, there was a snap where she was on the counter.
Yes.
And everybody's like, how'd you get up on the counter?
Levitation.
You got to tell us how'd you get on the counter.
Levitation.
I just picked her up and put her on the counter.
Movie magic, everybody. It's wires. It's wires.
I have a great picture of her up there too that I'll post tomorrow. But that's all. I picked her up and I put her up there because she keeps like looking at the counter, like wanting to get up there. And I was like, what is it? Like, here, now you're up here. What is it?
And then she didn't really know.
She stuck her head in the treat jar.
Well.
But she does it when the treat jar is closed. But you do have a story about Vink. Do you know the story?
I don't know yet. No. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point I was doing the usual 3-ring, well, it's a 6-ring circus, feeding everyone. And, I give, instead of carrots, I give meat carrots or sometimes eggs to Voodoo and Remy. So I took out a hard-boiled egg at the beginning, and I'm juggling, trays and pill boxes, and as I'm shifting stuff down the counter to be in ready position, there's the usual number of dogs in the kitchen. Vank's one of them. I just hear something fall, and I was like, was it a pill pocket? Was it did a lemon fall down? I don't know what it was, but I'm doing 3 other things, so I don't really pay attention. Fill everyone's food bowl. Everyone eats as normal, and then at the carrot stage, I'm looking for that hard-boiled egg, and I realize that Vank just horked it.
Mm-hmm.
It fell down, shattered, I guess, but she just, because I now remember in hindsight, it was the sound of a cracking egg falling. Our counters are real quality, so everything rolls off them if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And it must have just rolled down, and she probably got it before it hit the ground, but if not, very soon after. And so she snuck a whole egg in addition to our other food and the carrots and everything else. Vank, this is why you struggle with your weight. This is why we struggle with your weight. You're fine with it.
Yep. She's doing pretty good, though.
She is.
She stopped eating the green beans, which we've talked about.
She did a boycott where she was just spreading the green beans out on the floor outside of her bowl. She had to eat through them or move through them to get at the food that was underneath.
So we talked about that last time, I think.
Yeah.
And so this week I was like, we got to try something else because she's hungry, because she has lost weight, but she still's got a pound or 2 to go. So I was like, we should try frozen broccoli instead of frozen green beans. So today I gave her frozen broccoli with her dinner, and she's like, this is delish, you guys.
Yeah, because the other alternative is cutting back on carrots, and I've never been able to do that. I just can't.
She loves them so much.
I can't.
Yeah.
She is the leader of the carrot brigade, and she is so excited. She's more excited about carrots than about food, and she's super excited about food. So yeah.
So she's team broccoli for a while.
That's good.
Yep.
We're probably, I guess, no, Brody's good with green beans. We still have a lot of frozen green beans.
Keep him with the green beans, and she can eat the broccoli.
Yeah, we don't need to cycle that out at any time.
So let's see. We announced the award winners of last week without doing a podcast, so we could at least just briefly talk about that. Hops got low maintenance dog of the week because Hops is low maintenance.
Yep.
Vood's got achievement of the week for surviving his very scary ring of seizures.
Yeah.
You right over there, dear Dad?
I'm looking at my notes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. And then Guac was the winner of the People's... Oh, was it Guac? Vink won the People's Choice Award last week.
Vink won the People's Choice Award, yes.
Guac is in strong contention for low maintenance dog of the week this week. He's been very good.
He's been very good. He's very restrained when he needs to. He's a great driving companion. That's pretty good.
Yeah. He missed me a lot too. He snuggled up on me last night in the bed.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Hops is not super low maintenance this week. She keeps having weird kind of tension in her abdomen, like she's pulled a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And she had it, I don't know if we talked about it on the last podcast, but she had it right before Thanksgiving, like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And so we gave her some meds for that, and it helped, but she had a couple more of those incidents this week. And so you took her into the vet, and they checked her for hemangiosarcoma. They did an ultrasound, and she doesn't have that, which is good. But we can't really tell if she's got like a muscle pull that maybe she aggravates. Like that's the theory, but we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, it seems to happen after these like ball throwing, swimming sessions, right?
Yeah.
Where she still loves chasing the ball. She still is very. I sort of forget this because Guac has taken over assumed that position in the house, but Hops loves the ball. She was always ball crazy.
Oh yeah.
And so she'll just sit on the porch sometimes and look down at her ball and like like be sad that she doesn't have her ball.
Yeah.
And so I think it is possible, I don't know, that she, from doing kind of nothing all day to having these pretty intense sessions where she's reaching for the ball and trying to beat Guac for it and stuff, that, you know, she'll exert herself too much.
Yeah. So anyway, she's fine. Doesn't seem like there's anything serious going on. We got some painkillers for her.
Yeah.
But that's that. Remy, not a ton of updates. Oh, he did have an eye problem. When the heck was that? I guess the weekend after Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Saturday after?
It was right around. But you were still there for it.
I was here.
Saturday,
it must have been Saturday. His eyes were like, they looked a little bit sunken in his head, right, and they were red and kind of teary. And with that, you worry about uveitis. Like there's a particular thing called golden retriever uveitis, which obviously Goldens get. And my dog Kay, who I had before the squad, she went blind from that. And it's kind of like a glaucoma. They get really high pressure in their eye and it's super painful. And then you kind of have to do a treatment that, you know, either you remove the eye or there's a chemical treatment you can do that she had that basically kind of shuts off the eye. So it kills their vision, but it also stops the pressure from building up in there. And, I was worried that he had that because his eyes kind of looked like that. We brought him in and his pressures were actually very low, which they also had been when we brought him to the ophthalmologist the first time. So we adjusted his eye drops that the ophthalmologist gave, and that seems to have helped. The good thing is it's not really painful when their pressures are low. So that was good. But
yeah, were we worried about that with one of the other dogs, St. Patrick, or...
Vink has actually had an episode of uveitis once, but then it kind of went away. So,
Vink, you are such a lemon.
Yeah.
I mean, you're my baby, but still.
And we are talking to our vet now about, you know, more diabetes management, but that just seems like it's going to be a really long-term process. So,
yeah, he seems to have settled into generally kind of slightly elevated blood glucose measures.
Yeah.
Levels.
Yep. So that's Remy, but he's doing fine. I mean, he seems happy.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had any like low blood sugar problems, which is good because those are always scary.
Right. He's integrating well. He seems to play with whoever wants to at this point, which is good. He's played with Vink.
Yeah. He was playing with CB after dinner.
Oh, that's great.
They were like tugging on a rope. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the dogs we've talked about.
Yeah.
So,
well, they all had issues.
Yeah. It's been... You did a great job while I was gone managing a lot of complicated stuff.
You would have done the same. Well, some of it was in consultation and with your assistants, so it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Still, great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to do the Taste of the Keys or the German word of the week?
Taste of the Keys.
Woman arrested after biting deputy after being removed from Isla Morada bar.
Yes.
Ugh, I saw this come across and I was like, oh, that's so good.
Did the deputy ask for her to bite him?
He did not.
See, there's your answer.
Authorities in the Florida Keys arrested a woman for allegedly biting a law enforcement officer. According to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, 32-year-old Zaina, we're just going to call her Zaina, is facing multiple charges after biting an officer who was attempting to place her in handcuffs. It happened early Saturday morning at Hog Heaven Sports Bar and Grill in Isla Morada. Authorities said... What did we say her name was? Zaina and another woman were ordered by a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy to leave the restaurant for causing a disturbance after a manager asked the deputy to trespass them from the property. Both women returned a few minutes later, and Zaina said she was calling 911 after falsely accusing a deputy of taking the purse of the second woman, according to the arrest report.
This is like, you're not arresting me, I'm going to arrest you. I'm going to have you arrested.
Zaina was told to stop calling 911 because deputies were already on the scene to assist in locating the missing purse.
I want a different 911. I want a better 911. These guys are mean.
I'm calling the police. Ma'am, we are the police.
I'm police on you. I'm calling the police on you, police.
Deputy said Zaina continued calling 911 and tried running away. When a deputy attempted to place her in handcuffs, that's when the authorities said Zaina bit that deputy on the hand. Both women were arrested for trespassing. Zaina is also facing charges of trespassing, misuse of 911, battery on a law enforcement officer, and resisting arrest with violence.
I wonder if she was trying to see the manager of the deputy to ask for the manager.
You guys.
This is bad.
Don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
For Pete's sake. Especially
you're going to get taken to jail.
If they have a police uniform on, really don't bite them.
Yeah, I run an account, Don't Bite Anyone Unless They Ask. I mean, I think it's at Don't Bite Anyone on Twitter, where I just retweet stories of people who got arrested for biting people without permission. And it just says, don't bite anyone unless they ask you to, and a link to the story. And I would say like a third of the bitings are on cops. Occasionally there is a cop who does the biting, but mostly it's, I mean,
it's hard.
Cops getting bitten.
It's hard to be a good cop, right? You're always in a conflict situation. You're very rarely are people happy to see you.
Yeah.
I remember a few times a cop has helped me, when the car broke down or something, it drove me to the garage or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that cop was so happy to be like the clear hero, right? Just to be able to help and be appreciated. And I wasn't screaming at him, and he wasn't trying to subdue me. Did not bite him. Yeah. It was a non-conflict situation where he actually could, help. And you could just tell those cops that's like so good to them sometimes, where it's just like nobody's yelling at me and I don't have to fight anyone.
That's also when you get the good cops, right? Like I've been pulled over by this one cop in New Mexico who pulled me over. Like I was driving somewhere like for a work thing, and I had gotten off a road where the speed limit was like 75, unbeknownst to me, onto a highway in the middle of the desert where the speed limit was 50.
Yeah.
So I was going probably 80 in a 50, and the cop pulled me over, and he was like, I don't think Hertz would appreciate the way you're driving their rental car. And I was like, dude, I thought it was 75. Like, and I was just driving.
Right.
Like, he had like such an attitude with me. And I mean, it's like all I did was, I don't think I even spoke, right? I just gave him my stuff and did whatever. But, there are the cops who like really want to do the good thing, and then there are the cops who like really get off on their power.
Totally. Yeah.
Not that you should bite either of them.
No. I think the Monroe County Police, from what I've seen and heard and this kind of stuff, are very professional. Rick Ramsey certainly seems to be doing a good job. They
seem to really be working hard to make it so. I mean, we obviously don't have run-ins with them, but any time there's like an accusation of something improper happening, they come out pretty aggressively. And
they fire cops. They pursue cops. What was that lobster stealing cop?
Yeah, the homicide detective, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess just detective. We don't have enough homicides to have a dedicated group.
That's right.
It's like one homicide a year. That detective who took the lobsters from the people during mini season, they fired that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless, don't bite the cops. It's never going to work out for you if you bite a cop.
Yeah.
Whether they're an asshole or not.
It cannot help the situation, actually.
No, you're going to go to jail for that. It's illegal.
How's it going to help in any way to bite the cop?
I mean, it's also a dick move.
It doesn't taste good. It's not a dinner substitute. No. And the cop, man, that's like, man, that's terrible.
Don't do it.
Don't bite anyone, but especially not a cop.
Yeah. German word of the week.
We said Schlittschuhfahren.
Schlittschuhlaufen.
Schlittschuhlaufen, or I say fahren, laufen. Schlittschuhlaufen is probably the right way to say it. Yeah.
Either way.
Which is to go ice skating.
Yeah, except it's actually slippery shoe going.
Schlittschuh means slidey shoe.
Slide shoe going.
Slidey shoes. In the fall, a lot of places have ice rinks. Not here.
Not here, no.
And this is the time when they open up, or have been open for a long time if you live up north. And you go skating.
Schlittschuhlaufen, fahren.
I would say fahren, but I think that's more roller skates.
Oh.
Laufen. Yeah.
Is it the same for roller skates?
Rollschuh.
Oh,
Rollschuh.
Well, all right then.
Rolling shoes.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think I had the roller skates with you clipped onto the outside of your shoes.
That's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could do that with ice skates too. I don't know if we ever had that, but you could do the clip-on ice skates.
It seems like it would be really insecure.
It's absolutely terrible. I think I remember as a kid putting them on like moon boots once, which really is a clash of 80s things.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which means
you just break your ankles.
No protection. It was just, I don't.
You just wobble all over the place.
Maybe someone was pushing me the whole time. I don't remember, but it was a bad engineering.
I'm a pretty decent skater. Like,
yeah, you are.
for the general population, right? I mean, like, I'm not an NHL level
You were
skater,
the captain of a hockey team.
I was the captain of the hockey team because I would do the administrative bullshit that nobody else would do.
You founded a league at Kettler where the Capitals work out.
Yeah.
You did. These are
I
facts.
This is true. Still, not related to my skating skill.
Correct.
But I'm a pretty decent ice skater, and I can't imagine like the boots that are on your hockey skates or figure skates are quite stiff.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine having like a floppy like 80s snow boot with a blade on the bottom and trying to do anything, because like you do a lot of pushing with your feet.
It is kind of an ankle breaker.
I mean, I'll kind of push just right out of those.
I think that
poofy
only
boots.
was for kids, right? Where they're not that heavy, and you're supposed to use different boots too, and and it's just kids aren't doing a lot of cuts.
If you had like an old school leather boot and put
like a hiking
blade
boot
on it, like that, I could see work a little better.
Like an ankle boot, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well,
that's Rollschuhe. Schlittschuhe is ice skates.
We're not doing any Schlittschuhe anything down here because it's balmy 78 degrees, sunny today. Lovely. Not that I spent a lot of time outside in Maryland, but the last day I was in Maryland before I guess the day I came home on Monday.
Yeah.
I had to go to a thing in the morning, and I was like, I wasn't even checking the weather, right? I was just inside the whole time. So I was like, okay, like I got to go out and do this thing.
It's going to be freezing.
I get my big poofy jacket on, like bundle up, and I go outside, and I was like, what? It's like 65 degrees out here. It was like 70 when I left.
It was colder in Miami than in DC when you left.
Yeah.
It was 68 or something in Miami.
I know.
It was freezing.
It was an abnormally warm day. It had been quite cold over the course of the week, but
and the reverse for Miami.
All right. Well, that's our catch-up podcast. So I'm home. I am not leaving. I thought I was going to have to go to Waco next week. I know. I've never been to Waco. The only thing I was excited about is that there's a Torchy's Tacos in Waco, and I love their queso so much. And I was like, if I have to go to Waco for a week, I'm just going to eat queso.
Oh.
I'm just going to eat Torchy's Tacos queso. I mean, there probably is other good queso in Waco, to be fair.
That sounds pretty good.
So I kind of had this plan of gorging myself on queso for a week if I had to go. But the thing I was doing is canceled. And so I do not have to go, which I'm grateful for, except I'm a little sad that I can't get any like real Texas queso.
This is a sign of how much you love queso, that you're actually weighing a week in Waco and the travel there and back against this great queso.
It was more the queso was like a consolation prize for, Waco's not that far from Austin. And I love Austin.
Yep.
Right? Like I could have gone and spent a day in Austin, which would have been nice.
Also good queso in Austin.
All over the place.
So
much good queso in Austin.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not going. So the queso was more of a consolation prize for having to go to a thing that would have been hard and not super fun in Waco. I mean, Waco could be lovely. I don't know. I've never been there. I only know
Bush
it for
Jr. has his ranch there. What is it? George W. Bush.
George W. Bush.
Yep.
And then there was that whole compound there.
There's another compound there, yes.
Yeah. That's like literally everything I know about Waco.
Wow.
But they have an Indigo Hotel. Those are pretty nice. That's where I was going to stay.
Wow.
And a Torchy's Tacos. So
that's civilized.
It could have been surprising. Like Flagstaff surprised us like that. We had never been to Flagstaff, and we hiked the Grand Canyon. Were like, well, like let's stop in Flagstaff and get something. And Flagstaff was fucking amazing.
Had kind of a university town feel.
It is a university town.
I know, which I did not know or think about. Yeah.
I've been back a few times, and I just love it every time. Like, would totally go spend a week in Flagstaff.
Oh.
Which was like, and we just like literally stumbled into downtown Flagstaff and was like, what is all of this? This is amazing.
That's right.
So Waco could be like that for all I know.
Could be.
Anyway, I'm not going to Waco, so
the point is moot. I get the car. Yeah.
I was just like, I've been gone for 9 days. It was such a long time. And to digress a little bit, I wanted to come back on Monday, right? I had a thing on Monday morning in Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to get back because it was my 9th day away, and I never leave for that long. And
this is yesterday.
Oh. And so I was like, there's no direct flights that I could have caught, like done the thing I had to do and then also caught the direct flight. There's a couple direct flights, and one I think leaves at 8 a.m, and I think the other one left at like 11:30 or 12. So I wouldn't have been able to catch it. And so I'm like, I can wait until Tuesday and take the direct flight, or I can just take a flight with a stopover. And I was looking, and a lot of them still leave earlier, but I found a Delta flight like from Atlanta to Key West, and it leaves at like 5:50. And I was like, great, I can get to Atlanta in time to catch that flight. And so I had like an hour layover. And then on Monday, I'm seeing like my flight is delayed into Atlanta, but it's delayed like 20 minutes. So okay, it's going to be close, but I have like 20 minutes to get to my flight still. And so then we take off, and then we're kind of sitting on the runway, and I'm like, the minutes are going away.
That's terrible.
So the flight was departing at 5:50, so they closed the door 10 minutes before. So 5:40, I have to be at my gate at 5:40. My plane touches down at 5:26. It touches down at 5:26.
And it's like 5 gates away, right? It's close.
Yeah, it was more like 10. It had moved a little bit. It would have mattered if it were 5 gates away. So it was like 10 gates away. So 5:26, 14 minutes until the door closes. And so, then we obviously have to like go through like the airport and get to the gate. And so it's 5:41 when we pull up to the gate. 8 minutes until the door closes, right? And I was sitting towards the front of the plane, and I was like, you guys, do you mind like if I stand and be the first one off the plane? Like, I don't think I'm going to make this connection, but like, I have 7 minutes now to get down to the gate. And everybody's so like, sure. So I'm like standing there, right? Everybody's like, oh, I just feel like this is going to work out for you. The lady's like, oh, I had my Christmas miracle. I thought this plane, I wasn't supposed to get on this flight, and then they got me on. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. I was like, okay, everybody's got the energy. They're pulling the jet bridge up. And I was like, okay, I got 6 minutes to get down to the end of this, it's in the little terminal. Get down to the end. They pull the jet bridge up. The flight attendant unlocks the door. And then we're like waiting for the dude to open the door on the outside, and he doesn't do anything.
This is like a Simpsons or something.
I'm looking, and she's looking out the thing.
Show.
And then she's like, where did he go? Like, he just fucking left. He like walked back up and then walked back down. He apparently like didn't know if he had the jet bridge aligned with the plane the right way. And so then he like went and got somebody else, I guess, to help him. And they backed it up a little bit and they pulled it back forward. I was like, I'll jump the gap. Like, just let me off this plane. I now have 3 minutes until the door closes on my plane. And so finally, Jackass like gets the jet bridge lined up. We were sitting like, it was a long enough wait that the pilot's like, look, you guys, the guy doesn't know if he has a jet bridge lined up. As soon as he gets it lined up, they'll let us off. So like, we're fucking sitting there because this idiot doesn't know how to drive.
The pilot one threw him under the bus. Yeah, that's good.
So they open the doors. I'm like huffing it down, and I can basically see the door closing, right? It's like the end of the terminal, because it's always little planes that go to the Keys. And I get up there, and the door is closed. The plane is still there. Yeah. The gate agent is in the tunnel, right? She came out like 5 minutes later, and I saw a woman. I was like, I missed it. And she's like, they just closed the door like 2 minutes ago. So literally, if this jackass had just been able to pull his fucking jet bridge up, like it was his job to do, I would have caught my flight. And I was like, I've been gone for 9 days. So I just like sat down on my luggage and cried.
Oh.
And I thought I was going to have to spend the night in Atlanta, which like fine. But then I was like, no, I'm going to Miami and I will drive home. So I booked myself on a flight from Atlanta to Miami, and
and luckily you have miles and status, and it's all, you get like the good people on. If you call, you get like the good helpful people.
I went up to I just went to the terminal, or to the gate where the Miami flight was going from, and there was a guy there and I think he had just kind of boarded the flight that was departing, and I was like, can you do this? Like, I don't want to have to leave security and go to the ticketing desk. Like, can you put me on this? It was $86 to fly, to get on the Atlanta flight to Miami.
Nice.
And he's like, yeah, I'll just do it for you here. Like, nice. You should go to ticketing, but whatever, you're here, I'll do it for you. So he was very nice. So it was quite an odyssey.
And you're nice.
Thank you. Why did I start telling that story? I don't know.
Because it was an odyssey in 9 days. It wasn't just 9 days. It was like 9 days and then 28 hours of yesterday.
Oh my God. I was traveling yesterday I left the house in Maryland at 1.
We can say what happened in Miami.
No, whatever.
Go ahead.
I got back here at 1.
Yeah.
12-hour odyssey.
Can I change my mind and spill the beans?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, immediately when you emailed me, texted me, whatever it was texted me, used the text machine from Atlanta, and we're like, I'm going to be in Miami tonight. I was like, I'll just come pick you up. What the hell? Adventure.
And normally I'd be like, don't pick me up. Like, I can rent a car.
It's a real sign that you were desperate. I know. I was expecting a fight.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, if you want to come to Miami, that's fine.
I was like, I know I can do it. I just did it twice in the last week. So why don't I just do that? The dogs all sleep.
I was like, if you want to.
So I grabbed the guac and I grabbed Voods and I grabbed Voods' seizure medicine in case Voods had a friggin' seizure on the way, because you never know with this pinto bean. But they were exemplary. And then I picked you up at the airport, which is an anarchic airport to pick someone up.
Oh, Miami is a real chaotic place.
Not impressed with, maybe impressed, but also intimidated by Miami's traffic pattern.
Yeah. So drove 3 hours to the airport, picked me up, and drove home.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. I was so glad to see you.
Totally better being here at 1 a.m. than you still being in God knows where, Miami, and having to make your way down.
I probably would have rented a car. Like, I was going to see if I was too tired, but I probably would have driven myself. But it was much nicer to have you. I was like touching GR Dad the whole time. I'm like, I missed you so much.
Yeah.
I missed you so much.
Oh, we listened to some podcasts. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was some good gen time for me.
That was great. Yeah.
So I like having you trapped in a car with me.
I love driving with you. Are you kidding?
There you go.
That's great. That was very nice. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for coming to get me.
Yeah.
It was way more fun with you than if I were just like in some Toyota Yaris or whatever, puttering down here by myself.
Puttering down here behind some school bus or something. The whole way.
We did see a very dramatic crash aftermath. Like we have smart whatever traffic signs down here that alert you to a crash, because there's just one road, so you better know if there's something happening. And it said like major crash, mile marker 91, but there were no delays, which is weird. But there was a very dramatic crash scene that was just off the road, so we'll have to talk about it next week. It wasn't in today's Conclave because it happened, at midnight, so probably tomorrow.
But there were a ton of emergency vehicles we saw, yeah.
In one very smashed vehicle.
Ooh, tomorrow they're going to do maybe we should wait for next week's Conclave. They're going to do a commercial on Route 1.
Indian motorcycles.
Is that what that is?
It is, yeah. They're filming. That's what that is.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So if you, next year when you see an Indian motorcycle commercial with
they got like
beautiful backdrop.
4 bridges they're going to use, right?
Yeah.
7 Mile Bridge, the Bahia Honda one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we it's a small community down here, so we get alerts that like, hey, they're filming a commercial, so it's on the one road.
Shutting down Route 1 for a while. Don't expect to go anywhere.
Yep.
But exciting. There'll probably be helicopters and
totally
film crews. Maybe I should go. I can make it into Hollywood.
You could be an extra.
I can break into Hollywood.
Have you ever been an extra in a movie?
No. Are you kidding me? I had to be kicked into, dragged, and screaming into podcasting. I don't seek out the limelight. I've seen a car commercial we've made in LA. There's like one road where they film almost all the car commercials. Every time I see a car commercial now, I know the background. I know the hotel I was staying in and the office building I was working in downtown LA.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like an underpass. Yeah. But they were doing that one Sunday when I was there. It's cool.
I am an extra in the 1996 Keanu Reeves movie Chain Reaction.
Get out.
They filmed part of it at the University of Chicago, and so they recruited students.
Shut the front door.
Yep.
What? Are you in the movie?
I'm in the movie.
Get out.
I mean, I'm in like the auditorium scene where like I don't actually know what the speech is because they just had us like applaud in the filming. Yeah, so you can kind of see me in the balcony.
Why did I not know this? We've watched Keanu Reeves movies.
We have not watched Chain Reaction. I remember it not being a great movie.
Who cares? You're in it.
I mean, like I think it's like if you pause it at the right time, I can be like that little head right there in the balcony.
I'd be pausing it. Holy smokes. This is a major revelation. I don't even know who you are anymore. Wow.
I mean, I'm not credited. I don't have any lines.
Did you get money? Did you get free lunch?
No. Did I get free lunch? I don't think so.
Come on, free lunch.
I may have gotten free lunch.
Normally, people get, like, their scenes get cut, right? If they're an extra, it's like, you're on the editing room floor. You're in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
like,
I'm not like even dude walking in the background, right?
2 more of those, and you can, like, join the union.
Oh, my God.
I am so excited about this. I'm totally renting that movie.
All right. We'll put it on the list. Chain Reaction
with Jen Colbeck.
I don't know that that's quite right.
Extras. And then it says Jen Colbeck.
It's some kind of thriller, and it has to do with nuclear fusion.
No kidding.
Or fission.
I'm sure that's implied by the title. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't even know? They didn't give you a script?
I had no lines. It literally, like, we had to sit for like 3 hours in this very beautiful theater on campus. And they had like all these lights on the outside, like shining in through the stained glass to make it very dramatic. And then they'd be like, all right, on the count of 3, everybody applaud. And then we'd be like, yay! And then they'd be like, okay, we're going to do that again. And there's just like 500 of us in a theater, like clapping. And then in the movie, I don't even know that I watched the whole movie, but there's like, you know, a guy on the stage, like doing this presentation, I think, of some amazing research result. And then we're the
clappers.
We're the clappers. I mean,
I am so excited.
Most extra of extra roles.
Oh my goodness! No, you're in it though. You made it into the movie.
I am in it. Yep.
That is already head and shoulders above. If they let you talk, they'd have to pay you like rates or something. So I can
they did. They had like you could. They were trying to get like more substantial extras also from campus. So like you'd go, and I did this but did not get picked, and you'd like stand there and they'd like take your picture and then you write your name and whatever down. And I think they picked some people from that to be like, background walking people.
Oh, nice.
Or whatever.
I pretend to be having a conversation.
Yeah, no, I didn't get picked for that.
That'd be good. You're in the cafe sharing a lunch.
Yeah.
Oh.
They recruited those extras.
That'd be great.
I don't actually know anybody that got picked from that, but I remember standing in line and having them take my picture and being like, oh, like, was I supposed to like dress up for this? Like I was just like wearing whatever I wore to campus that day, and it was like,
no, it's fine.
Well, they didn't want me, so fine.
That's hilarious. They only used drama club kids.
Maybe.
I'm so amused by this new knowledge.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I've known you for a while now, and this has never come up.
I literally never think about this except when I just asked you if you'd been an extra in something.
I guarantee you, if I were... Here's a story.
Yeah.
I once asked you, have you ever been shot? And your answer was...
Remains, I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like I have been... Except I don't have an actual memory of having been shot. I have no scars of being shot. I may have
forgotten. I probably got shot in the head a few times, but I may have forgotten.
It just feels like the answer is yes. Maybe this is like in a previous life I was shot, and so I have the residual memory of
Maybe
that.
You just don't remember, like being in an extra in a major Hollywood blockbuster, and you don't remember being in that movie.
Maybe.
Maybe you were shot and you just don't remember getting shot.
I mean, it feels like that I was shot and I don't remember it, but I have no gunshot scars on my body. So, yeah, but it's weird. That is a weird thing for me that if you ask, have you been shot?
It's a weird question and answer sequence to get, I don't know.
It feels like yes. It feels like the answer is yes, but all evidence points to no.
Yeah. All the evidence, right. You're actually... not a soldier, and you're not an assassin, as far as I know. Now, who knows?
I've definitely never assassinated anybody, for sure.
Sure, unless you just don't remember, like being an extra.
I remember, like, if you were like, Jen, have you ever been an extra in anything? I'd be like, yeah, in this like 1996 movie.
Don't put this on me. I can't think of every question to ask you.
I've done a lot of things in my life that
formulate all these questions
that don't. I mean, I think if one has an adventureful life, that there are things where if you have a super boring life, that one time you were an extra in that one movie could really stand out as an important thing. But I have done some like kick-ass shit, and being in 1996 Chain Reaction is like not in the top 100 on the list because I have done cooler stuff.
Fair enough.
So I think
agree.
that's what this is.
I think, and you're not bragging, you're just stating the facts.
My goal in the limited amount of time I have on this planet is to do as many epic things as possible.
Yeah. You're doing a good job. You're racking them up.
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Racking them up.
Yeah. All right, well, I support you if you want to try to sneak into the Indian motorcycle commercial. I don't know that that's going to work, but maybe rent a boat and then you can boat around. Because I think that'd be like a cool scene for them, right? Oh, like there's like a boat coming under the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
The motorcycle. And you could be like, that's me on the boat.
How about some wet dude climbing up on from the boat up onto the road?
You might get arrested then.
How about the naked streaking? That's more up my alley.
I feel like that's easy for them to just cut.
But nudity is funny. Naked streaking is funny.
I just don't think that's what they're going for. You know, someone would probably put it on YouTube though, and you could be famous that way.
See, yeah, there you go. Guy gets arrested for naked streaking during commercial.
I'll bail you out. It's fine.
Like, it was safe. Route 1 was closed down, shut down.
Have you ever bailed anybody out before?
Have I ever bailed anyone out? No.
Have you ever been asked to bail anyone out?
No.
Answer is 100% yes.
No, I was not asked to bail out. I just received a call from a from a prison, from a jail, not a prison. A collect call.
You have a collect call from.
It's like Saeed, whatever his name was. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. No bail was requested or given.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Good.
Yeah.
All right, well, there we go.
Lots of tantalizing details. I can't believe you're an extra. Such a good idea to podcast.
Oh, so good. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, maybe there will be a no rules later this week, especially since we're recording early.
I refer you to the last 3 episodes where you've said this. I just want to say.
I know.
Well, stuff happens.
We do have a pretty complicated life with these dogs.
Knuckleheads. They're so good, but man, there's so many.
If we had 2 dogs who were just like normal, and then our job was to podcast, we'd create vastly different content.
We had 1 normal dog for 1 year, and then we added a Venk, and it's been downhill from there.
It certainly has.
No offense,
grown
Venk,
in
but
chaos
you are weird. Venk was like lizard obsessed today.
Yeah, she was.
She's like lizard hunter.
She's like out on the porch crying because there was a lizard sunning itself. And then we're like, okay, let her. She can't catch the lizard. Let her out. So Ingo lets her out. She goes down the stairs and then is like, and I'm waiting on the porch. She
takes a left and just runs away from where the lizard is because
I'm looking at the lizard on the beach. And I like, Vink has gone out the front door. Vink is now down the steps. Where is Vink? She's like, oh, look, I'm outside, you guys.
She lost interest. Yeah. And then she remembered and then was chasing for a while and like swam around.
What?
She's a weird little one.
Yeah, she is.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No. I'm glad we're back on the horse.
Me too. I missed it. I missed you. I missed the squad.
Although,
yeah.
I mean, other podcasts, professional podcasts do take summer breaks sometimes. I've heard some podcasts where they're just like, oh, this is the end of season 2. We don't even do seasons.
We did with Murders in Paradise. We've been on like a 14-month. I keep saying that's going to come back. You want to call me out on something?
I'm not calling you out on that.
Maybe this week will be the week.
Look, it's a COVID break. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, Murders in Paradise has not been permanently retired. I've got material and plans, and it's just been a tough time.
It's just sleeping.
Yeah, it's just taking a break. Sleeping. It'll be back. I mean, Serial took like a 2-year break after their Adnan Syed season before they figured out their second season, and Murders in Paradise is kind of the quality of Serial.
Takes as much research. Yeah.
Where I'm like, let's pull out Terry Schmitta's book and let me just find the longest chapter and we'll do that one this week. That's basically what Murders in Paradise is sometimes.
The theme song is so good.
That is good. All right, maybe before we do no rules, we'll do a Murders in Paradise, get like a couple of those in the can and be ready.
Okay.
All right.
I like the no rules though, because I usually drink. So, what are you going to do?
I didn't drink anything while I was in Maryland.
It's just sad drinking by yourself.
Yeah. And so
Doesn't stop me.
I hadn't had anything to drink for, since Thanksgiving, basically. And then dear Dad had said, maybe we should open some champagne tonight. And I was like, maybe cava. We don't have the stuff for that. And I couldn't do it. So
you made the drink of the week, which is actually really tasty.
I did make the cocktail of the week. So maybe we'll get some strawberries tomorrow, and I'll make a pitcher of sangria on Wednesday or Thursday. And we'll start with a Murders in Paradise, and then we'll do a No Rules once the kava's had a chance to kick in. And we've got a whole bunch of Q&A from the Patreon and super followers that we can talk about all kinds of interesting stuff.
Ooh, sangria. Yeah.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Yeah. We also have a rum of the day advent calendar. So
oh my God.
I really got to keep to this.
I haven't been drinking at all.
No, I've been trying. But it's too much. I'm not to drink a rum in the morning.
No, don't do that.
I'm not that Keynesian yet. I have plans and ambitions.
Yeah, don't do that.
I have not given up on life.
We didn't even finish the bourbon advent calendar that we worked through in November, and now we got the rum.
There's these teeny tiny little bourbon shots floating around. Now we're doing chocolate and rum.
And cheese.
And cheese.
Our friend Jen Coleslaw got us a cheese advent calendar.
Of the day. It's so good.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, there's something there. I could have chocolate, cheese, and rum.
It's like you kind of got lunch taken care of.
Or brunch.
A second breakfast.
Breakfast.
Tea.
Ugh.
All right. We're rambling now.
It's Advent. You're allowed.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. That's actually not the rule, but it is Advent.
Indeed.
Okay. That's it. I got nothing else. I had nothing else 5 minutes ago.
All right. Well, until next week, or until, we next podcast, which may be sooner, don't put anyone unless they ask you to.
Yeah. Don't. Come on. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.